in Jerusalem, and we are here to stay.
Something alarming is unfolding around Jerusalem. A flash flood tore through the Judean desert, ripping away layers of earth and reportedly exposing a sealed chamber containing a giant human-like skeleton beside a bronze sword. Soon afterward, the sky above Jerusalem turned deep red, covering the holy city in a crimson glow. Then 4 glowing figures appeared behind worshippers on the Temple Mount, leaving viewers searching for an explanation. Jesus warned in Luke 21 verse 25, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars." Are these natural phenomena, traces of biblical history, or warnings calling this generation to wake up? Watch until the end. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what you believe in the comments below. The first warning came from the Judean desert near Jerusalem, where a flash flood swept through the normally dry landscape. Within minutes, muddy water roared through narrow valleys, dragging rocks, branches, and debris with tremendous force. Roads disappeared beneath the current. Vehicles became trapped, and frightened families rushed toward higher ground. For those caught in its path, the flood brought panic and suffering. Water surrounded homes, damaged property, and blocked roads needed by rescue teams. Parents held their loved ones close, while sirens echoed across the valleys. Emergency crews entered dangerous areas, knowing another surge could arrive at any moment. Families who had lived peacefully only hours earlier were suddenly facing ruined belongings, damaged homes, and deep uncertainty. Flash floods become especially violent in desert terrain. Dry, compacted soil absorbs water slowly, forcing rainfall across the surface and into narrow canyons. The current quickly gains speed, cutting through layers of earth that may have remained untouched for centuries. The scene recalls Psalm 93:3. "The floods have lifted up, O Lord, the floods have lifted up their voice." This disaster reminds us how quickly human security can disappear. Faith must lead us beyond fear, toward prayer, compassion, rescue, and practical support for those who have lost everything. When the waters finally receded, they left damaged roads, wounded families, and deep scars across the land. But among the newly exposed rocks, observers reportedly noticed something unexpected: the entrance to a sealed chamber that may have remained hidden beneath the desert for generations. Inside, their lights fell across a huge, human-like skeleton lying on the stone floor. The remains stood out because of their extraordinary proportions. The arms and legs appeared longer and heavier than those of a typical human skeleton, while the shoulders and large skull pointed to a person of remarkable size. Near the bones rested a corroded bronze sword, surrounded by pieces resembling ancient military equipment. Together, these objects suggested the burial of a formidable warrior hidden for centuries. The discovery recalled Genesis 6:4, where Scripture mentions the Nephilim and connects them with mighty men and warriors of ancient times. Other biblical passages also describe men of exceptional size, including Goliath, whose towering presence filled Israel's soldiers with fear. Archaeologists and anthropologists could study the remains through DNA testing, dating techniques, and careful examination of the skeleton to establish its age and identity. The results could show whether this individual came from an ancient population known for unusual physical features. Could these remains belong to a warrior connected with the biblical accounts, or reveal a lost chapter of human history? Share your opinion in the comments below. As people continued discussing the giant skeleton, a different mystery began drawing attention at the Temple Mount. Thousands of worshippers were gathered in prayer while a visitor recorded the crowd. The moment appeared normal. But when the footage was reviewed later, 4 glowing human-like forms appeared behind the worshippers. Each figure appeared taller than the people below and seemed wrapped in a gentle white light. The 4 forms remained separated from the crowd, stayed visible for several moments, and then gradually faded. The visitor saw the scene only through the camera. Replaying and enlarging the video made the luminous outlines easier to recognize. The recording spread across social media, producing different reactions. Some viewers saw the figures as supernatural beings watching over the gathering. Others suggested lens flare, reflected sunlight, moisture in the air, floating dust, or digital distortion. When strong light strikes a camera lens at a particular angle, it can produce repeated shapes with surprisingly clear outlines. Still, one feature gave the footage special meaning. 4 figures appeared. Revelation 7:1 describes John seeing 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds. Since the recording came from the Temple Mount, one of the most important locations in biblical history, many believers immediately connected the image with John's vision. The lasting message reaches beyond the origin of the lights. Scripture calls people to stay spiritually awake, examine their hearts, strengthen their faith, and remain close to God. In a world filled with uncertainty, every striking image can become an invitation to pause, pray, and consider how prepared we are spiritually. The 4 glowing figures were soon followed by another remarkable sight, this time above Tel Aviv. Thousands of black birds gathered over the city, forming a moving cloud that twisted across the sky. The flock expanded, folded inward, and changed direction in seconds. At times, it resembled a wave. Moments later, it became a spiral stretching above the buildings. People stopped along streets and rooftops to record the display. From below, the birds appeared to move as one creature, responding instantly to every turn. Their bodies briefly covered sections of the sky and created a scene both impressive and unsettling. Scientists call this behavior a murmuration. Each bird watches several nearby birds and copies their movement. This coordination helps the flock escape predators, find resting places, and travel together. Changes in temperature, wind, food supplies, and migration routes can bring thousands of birds into the same area. Scripture also gives birds symbolic meaning. They appear as messengers, signs of provision, and images connected with gathering or judgment. Jeremiah 4:25 describes a scene where all the birds of the heavens had fled. The site over Tel Aviv presented the opposite image. The sky seemed filled with them. The timing made the spectacle feel significant. It appeared while unusual reports from Jerusalem were spreading. For believers, the flock became another reminder to remain watchful and thoughtful. After the dark flocks above Tel Aviv, the next development carried a different feeling. On the Mount of Olives, several old olive trees reportedly began producing blossoms and fruit at an unexpected time. New growth appeared along branches that had endured years of heat, wind, and dry conditions. Some visitors also noticed leaves shining with an unusually bright silver-green color under the sunlight. Olive leaves have pale undersides that reflect light as they move in the wind. Weather may also explain the unusual flowering. Changes in temperature, recent rainfall, underground moisture, or stress within the tree can affect its growth cycle. During difficult conditions, an olive tree may direct its remaining energy toward producing flowers and fruit. Its deep roots also allow it to reach water hidden far below the surface. Yet on this mountain, every new blossom carries added meaning. The Mount of Olives stands directly east of Jerusalem and holds a central place in biblical history. Jesus taught his disciples there, prayed there before his arrest, and ascended from the mountain after his resurrection. Zechariah 14:4 also points toward a future moment of extraordinary importance. His feet shall stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives. For believers waiting for Christ's return, the sight of old trees producing new life draws attention to this prophecy. The olive tree represents peace, endurance, restoration, and God's continuing promises. Its roots survive through drought, while new shoots rise from aged wood. That image offers hope to people facing fear, disaster, and uncertainty. Hard seasons can still produce renewal. A life that appears exhausted can still bear fruit. As blossoms opened across the mountain, another biblical preparation was taking place at Shiloh. Priests dressed in traditional garments gathered around an altar to rehearse the long-awaited ritual of the red heifer. At Shiloh, priests stepped forward in traditional garments as a red heifer stood near the prepared altar. Every movement followed a studied order. The priests arranged the wood, examined the equipment, and practiced the steps described in Numbers 19. For those watching, this was far more than a historical reenactment. It was preparation for a ritual connected with purification and future temple worship. Numbers 19 describes a red heifer without defect that has never carried a yoke. After the animal is burned, its ashes are mixed with water and used in a purification ceremony. Temple advocates believe these ashes would be required before priests could restore sacred service in a future temple. The heifer used at Shiloh had once been considered a possible candidate. Several black hairs later appeared on its body, removing it from official eligibility. The priests still used the occasion as a rehearsal. They practiced their positions, tested the altar, handled the tools, and reviewed the procedure from beginning to end. This experience could prepare them for the day a qualifying animal becomes available. Attention has now shifted toward another red heifer reportedly being raised in the Golan Heights. Religious authorities are monitoring its hair, health, age, and physical condition. Every change could determine whether it meets the traditional requirements. The importance of this development reaches beyond one animal. Priestly garments have already been created. Ritual vessels have been prepared. Temple designs have been studied. Now the ceremony itself is being practiced. For prophecy-focused believers, these preparations raise a serious question. How close is the temple movement to performing an accepted purification ritual? The answer may depend on the heifer under observation. Yet the deeper message reaches every believer today. Scripture calls us to stay awake, strengthen our faith, and prepare our hearts for whatever comes next. So what should we do with everything we have seen? The answer begins within the heart. Prophecy was given to awaken faith, sharpen discernment, and guide people toward God. It invites us to live with purpose, while there is still time to forgive, restore broken relationships, help those who suffer, and return to prayer. Jesus repeatedly told his followers to stay awake. That command speaks about spiritual readiness. A watchful person listens carefully, studies Scripture, tests every claim, and recognizes how easily fear can control the mind. True readiness produces calm strength. It helps believers face disturbing events with wisdom instead of panic. This matters because dramatic images spread across the world within seconds. A short video can create fear before anyone knows when it was recorded, where it came from, or what actually happened. Discernment gives us patience. We can examine the source, compare the evidence, and seek truth before reaching a conclusion. Strong faith welcomes honest investigation because truth belongs to God. Readiness also changes how we treat other people. When floods destroy homes, faith moves our hands toward practical help. When families experience loss, compassion becomes more valuable than speculation. When uncertainty fills a community, a calm voice can bring comfort. Prayer becomes powerful when it leads to mercy, generosity, and action. The return of Christ should inspire hope. It reminds believers that injustice has an ending, suffering has a limit, and God's promises remain secure. Our task is to live faithfully today. Every morning gives us another opportunity to choose integrity, serve someone in need, and carry peace into a troubled world. Keep your eyes open, your heart humble, and your faith rooted in Jesus. Let every unusual event lead you toward deeper prayer rather than endless prediction. Let every warning produce wisdom. Let every sign remind you to live prepared. The greatest preparation happens quietly: a sincere prayer, a repaired relationship, an act of kindness, and a decision to follow Christ even when the surrounding world feels deeply unstable and uncertain. The future remains in God's hands, and that truth gives us courage. Whatever tomorrow brings, we can stand firm, love others, and walk forward with hope. If this message encouraged you, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching until the end. May God protect you, guide you, and fill your home with peace.